Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, Karen secretly films me jogging and shows video to my boss. Entitled mother demands to know how I grew back my eyebrows. Partner's sister is an absolute EM and I hate her. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Karen secretly films me jogging and shows video to my boss. I recently had an emergency appendectomy, and recovery has been slow. I had to take time off from my own athletics, but worse, from coaching in the kids' sports program I'm involved with. The experience made me step back and realize I really built my whole identity around being active and healthy, so the hit my physical abilities took as a result of being sick plus the healing process has made me feel lost. I've been working to regain the joy I used to experience from exercise, without going, "Oh, you used to be so much faster with that," or "your technique used to be so much stronger," or "you don't fit in anymore," or whatever else, and just enjoy myself regardless of the level I'm at. But ironically, the anxiety about not being able to do what I used to has made regaining those abilities difficult. It made me self-conscious about exercising in public spaces, but I was starting to finally get over it as friends convinced me the source of the concerns were all in my head. There's no way to get back to it other than training, so despite the anxiety I started running again, as soon as the doctors approved it. I went to the local track and just did a few slow laps each morning, building up speed every few days, and I've only just been authorized to add some sprints and body weight strength training to the mix. Occasionally there were other people at the track, but I didn't really notice because I run with headphones on and try to zone out in these lighter sessions. But little did I know my friends were wrong. It was not all in my head, I was being watched, and more than that, I was being judged. My absolute catastrophe level worst nightmare at this stage of building back my strength and speed. On Friday, I was setting up for practice at the kids program and the head coach asked me into his office because a parent had a complaint. A parent I didn't know too well, Karen, was there and he said she had specific complaints about me. The meeting almost didn't happen because of Karen's initial refusal to put on a mask, required in our facilities for now, but eventually her desire to tell on me for whatever she thought she had me on overrode her freedoms to infect everyone. I was a bit nervous, as anyone is being called to meet with their boss over a complaint, but I figured it was a classic case of my kid should start more, or I know my kid tried out as a midfielder but I want her to switch to defense, that kind of rules don't apply to me thing. But instead, I sit down in the office, and Karen is playing my boss a video of me running on the track that she filmed from afar. It's surrounded by stadium-style risers. I was horrified, both because no one is ever totally used to seeing themselves on video, and because I was just embarrassed about how slow I was. But most importantly, because why was a virtual stranger, I'd met her personally maybe 4 times, ever, filming me while I ran on my own time at a private facility. She then went on to explain that her 8-year-old son, one of the players on my squad, was lapping me in the video and insisting the coaches need to hold themselves to higher athletic standards than the young players if they want to prepare them for college teams. Again, her son is 8. Apparently her son would sometimes be running on the track while her older child was practicing on a nearby field. I never noticed, the kid is still relatively new, and I don't pay much attention to the other people on the track. My boss patiently but firmly explained to Karen that my physical abilities are not the parents' concern and all personnel are closely managed by the head coaches who understand each unique situation and what's appropriate, and that her son wouldn't be impacted. Karen then went on to say my being out of shape was probably connected to why I'd been taking so much time off lately. Technically yes, it is because I was in the hospital. And complaining that the personnel changeover isn't good for the kids. My boss again reiterated that the head coaches hadn't changed or taken any time off and that I was still one of the most skilled in the area I instruct, so this was not her concern. She asked if there was someone else she could speak to, but he explained that he was the owner and founder of this program, so no, there was not. I knew my boss was intentionally avoiding saying what had happened to me or even alluding to a health issue to protect my privacy, but I figured maybe being transparent with her would show her how ridiculous she was being and keep her tuition dollars in our program during a difficult time for sports clubs. But when I explained, she just turned to the boss and said, "Well, maybe you should furlough her until she's healed and bring on a healthy coach in the meantime, because my son needs someone out there who can keep up with him." My boss respected what I was trying to do but made clear we weren't going further with that strategy to avoid setting a precedent of sharing coach's personal circumstances. Telling her why people take time off or what their health status may be is not her concern because the program manages that and makes appropriate decisions. She kept kicking up a fuss, but the coach finally told her he had to get back out on the field, back to her son and everyone else's kids. She started physically leaving, but continued fussing about how she was not satisfied and would not be recommending us to other parents. Pro tip: not the way to conduct yourself with the people who make recommendations to scouts concerning family culture/team interaction. The coach wasn't preparing to leave, instead he stopped her in her tracks to tell her if she was found to be surveilling or otherwise harassing any staff members again, she would be permabanned from the program. No games or practices, no team social events, no presence in our buildings, and no clemency. So, that was pretty satisfying. Her son is a good, average kid, and I'm glad the consequences were focused on booting her out rather than limiting his opportunities to have fun playing. So then we went out and had a great, happy, safe practice. This was still a pretty upsetting event for me personally though, and I'll never unsee that discouraging video of me running, but it was ultimately reassuring to know the other staff have my back. Leaving Karen in the dust is just another step on my road to recovery. I love how your boss really got your back. Hopefully Karen isn't gonna be a setback to your recovery. Thank you. It was a jolt, but working to put it in the past as quick as possible. Writing it all out definitely helped, and comments like yours even more so thanks again. Wow, what a psycho. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Your boss handled that really well. As a business owner myself, sometimes you have to fire customers/clients, and this is absolutely one of those situations. When I first opened my small biz retail store, I got told off by an angry mom who got upset when I told her that I couldn't have her kids in my after-school art class if the kids were going to get pulled out early every week. They would get upset and cry and beg to stay and finish their projects. I remember someone saying to me something along the lines of, if she acts like that to a stranger, imagine how she treats other people who know her. When customers threaten telling other people I suck, I remember that I don't, and hope that good people won't take this obnoxious person seriously. Anyway, keep up the good healing work. Karen is a monster. Follow your recovery plan and doctor advice. I know recovery is always slower than most athletic types want it to be. You don't want to set yourself back by pushing too hard and getting another injury. What an awful woman she was, and she was filming you as you were trying to get back to health after your operation. Very creepy behavior. One wonders if she films the people participating in the sports. I am very glad your boss backed you up with this obnoxious person. I hope she behaves herself and doesn't interfere anymore. Entitled Mother demands to know how I grew back my eyebrows. So this happened about 12 years ago. I think I just met the EK while walking my dog, so I just remembered it. Nothing too spectacular, but here we go. So around 2008, I started overplucking my brows, like basically everyone did. Around 2010-11, I think I kinda stopped plucking them. I just removed the hair really out of place and was lucky that it actually grew back nice and mostly right around my existing eyebrows. So within a few weeks or months, my eyebrows went from way too thin to actually nice looking, normal shaped eyebrows. One day EK noticed and asked me how I did it, expecting some miracle lotion or whatever, I guess. I just told her how it was and she didn't believe me. I brushed it off and minded my own business. When EM came to pick her up, EK must have said something, because EM came up to me asking all nice about my brows. When I told her the same, she got angry as hell. There is no way on earth your eyebrows just grew back like this. I know there must be some secret and you can't just keep it to yourself. EK needs to grow back her eyebrows and it isn't working, so you have to tell us. She was screaming, I just didn't feel like, all caps, laughing face. I told her I was sorry, but that this was how it worked for me and I can't tell her the secret to it because there is none. She got even angrier and louder, EK standing right next to her looking very self-righteous. When she got louder and called me names, people were looking at them. When EK noticed everyone including her crush were now watching, she went red as a tomato and sheepishly tried to get her mother calm and back in the car. From afar you could hear the mother with a last I thought you wanted to know how she did it, what's wrong? Your eyebrows do look like shit, so don't act like you don't need it. You should have told her the secret was prayer. Or nair. Both work as far as I'm concerned. In hindsight, I tend to something more evil, like rub it with dog poop twice a day. I had someone scold me for refusing to tell her the name of my hair color. My hair wasn't dyed, but she absolutely refused to believe me because no one so pale can have hair that color. It was dark brown with some red in it. Partner's sister is an absolute EM and I hate her. My partner, 22F, has an older sister in her 30s now. She has 2 wonderful kids, but she herself is an absolute entitled ass and I want to rant about it. She has her first kid in her early 20s and makes that an excuse to say she needs to relive some of her lost years. What does this mean? Every weekend, and sometimes on weekdays, she dumps her kids at my partner's house, most of the time unannounced, and goes out drinking. She does not give them food or my partner money to get them food, which would be helpful because my partner and her mother both make only a little over minimum wage. She does not communicate with anyone on when she'll pick them up, or when she does, she almost never keeps her word, and on top of that she does not give any compensation to her family members for watching her kids. In some cultures your family doesn't expect anything in return for these kinds of favors, however that's assuming every member participating actually has some consideration for each other's time and effort. This is even worse in the summer BTW. The kids will go weeks without going home. This is a huge problem again because that household does not have adequate food, they're often given junk food. They don't have their own room or their own privacy, which really sucks for the eldest who is an adolescent right now. At this point maybe you're wondering why the hell these people don't just lock this woman and her kids out. My partner bears the burden or being the mommy to these kids while she's trying to juggle a job and school full time. She absolutely hates it, but her mother doesn't give a crap. She allows them to come over unannounced, but then locks herself in her room when the kids complain about being hungry or bored or whatever. I guess that also makes her an EM for just expecting her daughter to deal with a problem she let in. Your friend needs to tell her mother that if she doesn't help, she will tell the sister to take her kids back home, since she is done being a free babysitter. She needs to grow a very shiny spine and let her sister not pull this crap. She either pays something like at least $100 per day for her 2 kids or they aren't staying there. Also, when mom locks herself in her room, knock loudly on the door and let her know she is leaving, and the kids are her problem. She needs to be out of there every time they show up. She can go to the library, a friend's house, hang out in the park, anywhere other than home. Maybe when mom has to deal with them she will start telling her sister that the kids can't stay there all the time. Someone needs to end this crap as soon as possible. It seems like mom is okay as long as your friend is there, which is why I say she needs to be somewhere else. Maybe when mom has to deal with them all the time, she will tell her sister, "No, you can't abandon your kids and go off drinking. They are your kids, just because you missed out on your 20s that was your fault and not ours, so we are done taking your responsibilities with the kids and dropping them back into your lap, where they belong." Your partner needs to be less available. Since she's a student, she can make up lots of study groups and projects that require her to leave the house. She also needs to grow a spine and tell both her sister and her mother that her babysitting days are over. She needs to move out. If her mother and sister expect this, it won't change. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.